Welcome to this sessions of GreenAnimate. As you already know, the session is all about discussion on various topics related to science, related to environment, related to health. We talk with people from different frontiers of education and knowledge. Today's speaker is Binita. She is a postdoctoral researcher in Duke's University, and currently she is researching about cancer. Cancer research and alternative or different medications or basically combination treatment strategies for cancer, which includes identification of cancer biomarkers as well as various other approaches for the treatment of cancer. Hi, Binita. Thank you so much for being with us today and giving
Thank
us
you
the
so
time
much.
for this session. How
Thank
are
you
you?
so much, Amit. I am good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have been really excited to have this session with you since some time now because because what you are doing right now is so much important in terms of the human health and in terms of knowledge. So tell me briefly something about this research that you're doing about the combination treatment or the combination treatment strategies for cancer.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, cancer is a huge problem worldwide, right? So it's the second most biggest killer in terms of disease. And for the past 40 years, there has been a lot of treatment strategies which has been invented, and there has been a lot of research going on in understanding what are the fundamental processes which leads to cancer. But what happens is, like, eventually even new drugs have been developed, the patients actually develop resistance. So like there's a huge push, or there's a huge unmet clinical need, to develop therapies which ultimately will prolong survival in patients. So my research particularly is focused on understanding these fundamental processes in cells, how they are aberrantly activated during cancer progression, and then, like, whether you can find treatment strategies to overcome that problem. It's kind of in the interface of basic biology as well as translational science. So more focusedly, my research right now is more focused on understanding the immune reaction in a body when a cancer is growing, and how you can find combination immunotherapeutic approaches to treat cancer.
Well, that sounds really interesting because right now, as you said, the rate of cancer is completely increasing, and then you have different types of cancer.
Yes.
So, is the research would benefit, or there's a potential to benefit all types of cancer, or is there a specific type of cancer that your study involves?
Yeah, I think, like, my study is more focused on a particular group of cancers. So when you think about cancer, because it's like there's, as you are saying, there's different kinds of cancer, and different kinds of cancer in different organs. Different organs have different physiological roles, right? So you have to treat each cancers differently. Not all cancers are very aggressive, but then there's cancers which are very aggressive. There has been a lot of treatment options which are pan cancer, like normal chemotherapy. You have heard about chemotherapy, right? So most of the chemotherapies are like pan cancers because they, like, target particular processes which are fundamental to all like cells, like physiological processes like cell proliferation or replication kind of things. But then, like, particular signalings which are important for a set of cancer cells growing in one organ versus other, there's like targeted therapies. So most of the time, like, our research are focused on targeted therapies which will treat like one set of cancers, but then there's like a huge push in, as I was saying, there's a huge push in developing immunotherapeutic approaches. One of the things is this kind of approaches are disease agnostic. So basically, with the idea is, like, if you can engage your immune system to fight off the cancer, so it cannot get better than that, right? So these kind of immunotherapeutic approaches are actually people are trying to develop pan cancer wise.
Wow, that's an amazing, because that's basically what you're saying is the therapy or the treatment is based on building the body's immunity or the internal system of the body to fight the cancer and recognize what is the problem and then nip it at the bud, probably.
I know, yeah. So the thing is like your immune system, like what happens is like usually how immune system works. Like if there's a foreign particle which enters into your body, immune system will recognize that it as a foreign and it will clear it off. So cancer cells have like certain advantages. Like when a cancer goes, what happens is like it tries to like hijack its environment. So and what it will do is it will try to hijack your immune reaction. Okay, so that like cancer cells are not like recognized as foreign particle, it's recognized as a part of body. So at some point, like your cancers are growing and the immune system fails to recognize it. However, like from the last, I think 5 or 6 years, there has been a big push in the immunotherapy field, because if you can re-engage your immune system to fight off the cancer, then you are like basically relying on a physiological system, not from like chemotherapy or something like which you are like giving from outside. So it's been hugely successful, and in certain group of cancer, it's like very new field. And probably know, like in 2019, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was given to like 2 researchers, one from Texas and one from Japan, who like discovered this immunotherapeutic approach. So I have hope like it's going to be very successful pan-cancer wise in future.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if it also bypasses the need for the chemotherapy, which also has a lot of side effects,
Yes.
that's amazing. Another big part of the a big advantage that is provided. I think it's also another researcher from Japan. I don't know if it's the same research you're talking about. There was a study on the CRISPR-Cas9, which was again, I think, some modification of genes where the aberrant DNA or the gene segments can be excluded from the thing.
Yeah, I think like that's from China. That was a different thing. Yeah, it's a gene like gene therapy kind of approaches. Like we use it regularly in our system, but I don't think like it has come completely into like therapeutic like field. But hopefully we will see in future, and a lot of new therapeutic approaches are coming out. You never know which one will be successful and which one will be not.
Absolutely. Your work it also involves, like in your study you mentioned, was on estrogen blockers or estrogen mimics. So what are the estrogen mimics?
So actually, it's a huge field. A lot of naturally occurring compounds actually have a structures like estrogen.
Okay.
You guys work on like bisphenol A and like the stuffs which are present in plastic, right? The structure of a lot of these compounds actually mimics estrogen. So what
Okay.
happens is estrogen, like is a hormone, right? It's a female steroid hormone. It works through a particular set of receptors. So receptors are like basically, protein which is usually present in the surface of the cells, but estrogen receptor is a unique set of receptors. These are present in nucleus. These are called nuclear hormone receptors. So basically, estrogen as a ligand will bind to this receptor. This receptor will go on and it acts as a transcription factor. So basically, it drives like the expression of a lot of pathways or genes which will help cells proliferate. What happens is a lot of naturally occurring compounds, not only like artificial made plastics or bisphenols have like structures of estrogen. So a lot of these actually mimics estrogen, and it will bind to estrogen receptor and it will regulate the expression of the receptor. The caveat over here is like for every physiological system in a body, when it's like activated, there's always a check. There's always a feedback to shut off this system, right? So if you have like estrogen working through its ligand, after a while, its work is done, there will be endocrine feedback and it will shut off this pathway. But when this like outside compounds are coming in, there's no way you can shut it off, right? Because the ligand is constantly like, it's in the blood, it's from the outside source. So what happens is the signaling is constantly on. So and it's being, estrogen signaling is like has a proliferative, it helps in cell proliferation, which is like one of the main causes of cancer. So that's how like it's related.
basically what you're saying is this cell proliferation is the uncontrolled growth of cells.
Uncontrolled
So
proliferation.
the external estrogens, or the estrogen mimics, or rather the imposter estrogens, they have a potentially carcinogenic impact on the cell, because the body has nowhere to understand where the limit has to be reached, and the feedback cannot be attained because there's always an external source.
Yes.
Now, as you're saying is true that we do, obviously it's not a researcher like on a research scale, but we do work on the management of plastic pollution. And through my studies, I have also recognized one of the biggest problem with plastic is that it contains copious amount of bisphenol A.
Yes.
Which again enters through macro and micro quantities into our body. Like be it the plastic which we use for food containers, or plastic for any other sources. When it comes to a contact of the body, we actually imbibe that bisphenol A into our body. But now, as you said that this is an estrogen mimic, do you think it is only harmful for the female body, but also for the male body? Is it gender specific, or for both genders?
Yes, so there has been studies that bisphenol A actually not only works through estrogen receptor, it also works through androgen receptor. Yes, so androgen receptors, again, these are nuclear hormones. Androgens is like testosterone. It's the male steroid hormone, right? So it works in the same way as like estrogen. Androgen receptor is also a nuclear hormone receptor. Androgen comes and binds to these receptors, and then like androgen receptor, or AR, it will act as a transcription factor. So when like these bisphenols can bind to both estrogen receptor and androgen receptor, both have proliferative, like it can lead to cell proliferation, which is like one of the main hallmarks of like uncontrolled cell proliferation, which is one of the main hallmarks of cancer. So it can be equally counterproductive to have like bisphenol A in male and female body. Also, another thing to say is female, although like the amount of estrogen is very high in female and amount of testosterone is high in male, both female body contains androgen receptors, male body contains estrogen receptor. It's not like that. It's either or. Okay, and these are functional. It's not like they are non-functional in one gender versus other. So I mean, bisphenol A has the potential to work through both estrogen receptor and androgen receptor in both male and female. So it's like a double trouble.
Wow. Basically, then, what it sounds like, it's really not good thing for the human body to have bisphenol A anywhere around us.
Yes. So there has been a huge push, right? So use BPA-free plastics. It's been going on like for a while now, because multiple studies, epidemiological studies, and research-based studies have shown like bisphenol A has carcinogenic properties.
I was actually reading this particular research where they were also talking about the toxicity, the levels of toxicity levels when they have been studied on plastics, and they have been done in the research in terms of LD50, some stuff like that. And then a lot of researchers said that that is not the correct approach, because hormones don't work in that way, because in the smaller quantities is more active than higher quantities. So there's this bell curve that happens in terms of hormones.
Yes. So for hormone, you have to actually think about that in like very, very small quantities. It can actually be like very active. So I mean, we are talking about like nanomolar to picomolar range, where estrogens bind and can activate its receptor. So you don't need actually a lot of BPA in your body to activate this receptor, and less small amount can like do as much harm.
And the small amount basically means just a few molecules, probably.
Yeah, probably. Like we have to do like the LD50 studies to find out that. But I mean, since these are so sensitive receptors and they work, they bind to these hormones in such small amount, and they can activate this signaling pathway when like I'm telling you, like picomolar or nanomolar level. So it can be a potent carcinogen.
Wow. That's probably another thing, like, what we, just for information, like, for all the audiences also, Another thing that another project that we have is on sustainable menstruation, and where we are saying, or basically not us, basically there we are propagating the idea of switching into menstrual cups for a lot of people, because again, when sanitary pads are used, it has plastic, and then that is also a source of the bisphenol A. So what you're saying basically adds to another level of support, another level of idea why there should be a switch.
Yeah, I think like
And
yeah, go ahead. Go
as
ahead,
there's a
go ahead.
plastic is basically harmful for the health, and then like in direct contact with the body basically increases that risk for the carcinogen to enter the body.
Yeah, you may know better than me about this, but bisphenol A has like a lot of side effects in not only in cancers, in other reproductive diseases also. So, I mean, obviously like having bisphenol A is bad, so that's why like there's a big push about BPA free plastic, and it can have a myriad of effects. It's not cancers. Obviously like it's a potent carcinogen, and you know, breast cancer, it's although it's like a mixed bag of cancers, but about 70% of breast cancer is what we call hormone sensitive cancers. So this is the huge chunk of patients who have like the aberrant estrogen signaling. So I mean, if BPA is like an estrogen receptor activator, and like there's a huge chunk of patients who have this kind of um, hormone sensitive cancer, it's obviously good to cut down BPA's levels in plastics which we use in daily lives.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, what else do you think, like, generally, our lifestyle, as you mentioned before, that, the rates of cancer have increased, but what, in your opinion, might be the different trigger points for the increase in cancer?
I think like generally, you know, a lot of things contribute to cancers, but like exposure to like air pollutants, lot of things, the lifestyle, diet, lack of exercise. I mean, these are potent triggers. It's actually a long-term trigger rather than like a quick trigger, but these have potential to ultimately lead to cancer. Not always, though they lead to cancers, but these are potential.
Okay, yeah, that's probably one of the things. Like, a lot of people, that gets a lot of people confused by certain habits. Let's say, for example, smoking. Some people would be more prone to cancer for smoking, and then there would be, you'd see other examples of people who are chain smokers, and they would never have cancer
Yes,
for a
yes.
long time. So there's a I think maybe, or do you think there's a genetic predisposition towards it, and
Predisposition.
also with
Yeah,
other?
it's actually not known yet. As far as I know, it's not known yet what causes, what is the genetic predisposition in some group of smokers who will get ultimately lung cancer versus those who not. But it's a very interesting topic, especially like with the air pollutants increasing. People are really not only like cancers of the lung. There's a lot of COPD or like lung-related disease, asthma, and all these things are also increasing. So it's like a general, what do you say, like decrease in
Lifestyle.
life, like a good lifestyle, you know, and which is leading to all these kind of comorbidities.
Yes, yes, true. Absolutely. Even in most of developed countries, there is also the increased incidence of lifestyle conditions like diabetes, obesity, which are again also comorbid conditions, which leads to long-term inability of immune system, and then that also can lead to cancer, or other lifestyle condition, chronic health conditions
Yeah, so
can
you're
can cause
absolutely
deformity.
right. So what happens is like when you have diabetes, it's like a chronic inflammatory condition. So your body is constantly going through inflammation. So what is inflammation? There's like cytokines, which is released into the blood, which is causing like tissue damage. It's like a chronic inflammation. It's low level chronic inflammation. And inflammation, like you will see like a lot of cancers, potential like inflammatory cancers. Inflammation is a very potent underlying cause of cancer. Not for all, but for a lot of cancers, like pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, actually. Like because people say like if you have colitis or like irritable bowel syndrome, these are like predisposition for colon cancers because these are like inflammatory conditions. So as our lifestyle is changing, as like we are like a lot of people are diabetes, these are or like people have colitis and these stuff. There's a chronic inflammation which is going on in the body, which ultimately sometimes predisposes people to cancer. Not always, but a lot of times. Yeah.
What do you think can be like the solution apart from the research that you're doing and then the potential therapies that comes up? But what can individuals do in their personal lives to probably reduce their risks for cancer or long-term health conditions?
I think like living a healthy lifestyle is really important. Like good diet, good sleep. Actually, good sleep. And another thing which I think is really important is screening. You know, a lot of these developed countries have like these screening programs, especially for some kind of cancers like HPV, which there's like a pap smears.
Papilloma virus.
Yeah, human papilloma virus in this HPV. So these can be cut down significantly by screening. So like going through like checkups once you hit a certain age, like colonoscopy or like HPV or like breast cancer screening, this will really help to cut down the cancer rates. Because if you catch a cancer early, there's lots of treatment options. Once it goes out of hand, then it becomes probably difficult to treat, right? Later stage disease, like if it goes into like a stage 4, which is like a later stage, or if it spreads to other parts of the body, then it becomes almost impossible to treat.
True. Basically, before the cancer proliferates to other part or metastasizes to other parts of the body, before that it has to be arrested, and then early identification makes it easier for the treatment to be more directed towards that particular tissue and then remove it from there.
I mean, once the cancer spreads to other parts of the body, once it metastasizes, it becomes really difficult to treat a cancer. Because there's are multiple like complications which comes with that. So as much as you can catch early through the screening, actually it's not very easy to catch every cancer early, but some of the cancers actually you can catch early. Like colon cancer, if you go through colonoscopy every 5 years, people say every 5 years until you hit 40, and then I think probably 1 or 2 years, or like this screening HPV or like breast cancer screening. If you go through this, I think there's a serious potential you can cut down these cancers, probably by screening early.
Oh, that's really good. Again, that only shows that how much we have to be aware of our own health, and we need to take care. Healthy lifestyle, screening, these are important for prevention of this long-term conditions. And I don't think, I mean, this is also applicable not only for cancer, but also for many other comorbid conditions, right?
Exercise, diet.
Yeah, healthy diet, probably exercise, and keeping a good heartbeat or blood pressure and everything that goes along with it. Overall healthy lifestyle. And another thing, like that brings me to another part of your research, where you said that you are also, the work involves identification of biomarkers for cancer. So, what is basically that for a person who probably does not have idea on biomarkers? How would you explain that to a layman?
Yes. So very naive way of explaining. Say, for example, that you have 5 houses which are exactly similar, and you have to go to one particular house. How will you know that? Say, for example, I put a flag on the top of the house. Then you will know, okay, I have to go to this house which has a flag. Biomarkers are kind of that. So one of the potential problem of cancer therapeutics is targeting patient population who will respond to these therapies. So I was talking about immunotherapies, right? Immunotherapies has been highly successful in melanoma, skin cancer, as well as non-small cell lung cancer. It's like unprecedented till now. There are like 20 to 30% patients who are getting like complete response. They are completely cured, which has like never been seen in in this kind of cancer, especially non-small cell lung cancer. So that's unprecedented. But although these therapeutic approaches are really helpful, there has been also some problems with this. So one of the big problems in immunotherapies is how can you like find the patient population who will respond, because not all patients respond. Otherwise, like the response rate would be 100%, right? So, this is where the biomarkers come in handy. So if you have a good biomarker to say, okay, so if this patient have the expression of this protein or shows this protein, then they will respond to this therapies. Then you can subdivide the patient population. This is where the biomarkers comes helpful. Then what happens, you can screen the proper patient population who will respond to the therapy. The therapy, the therapeutic responsiveness goes much higher.
Well, basically, it's like a biological version of the bullseye that you are
Yes.
trying to find out and then shoot at it.
Yes. Yeah. The thing is, like biomarkers differ from cancer to cancer. Within cancers also differ. So it's not like a very like straightforward issue. A lot of research goes on into like identification of biomarker. Unfortunately, for some cancers, there's like good biomarkers. There's also a problem with like probably like one biomarker may be good for one patient. The same biomarker may not be good for another patient. So there are other factors involved also. So it's not
So
like
it does not only differ with it doesn't only differ with the type of cancer, but also with the
yes.
patient themselves.
Yes.
Wow,
So
that
that's
makes it
why there's
insanely
like
more
a
complicated.
there's a new not new actually, probably last 10 years there has been this concept of personalized medicine. So if a patient comes in, you treat his cancer, has his unique cancer, and you try to figure out what will work for him. Not like base your research or your medication based on the other people who have got the same kind of cancer, but just focus on him. This is like the concept of personalized medicine.
Wow. Now, on a more personal note, you have done your master's from Calcutta University,
Mm-hmm.
and then you moved on to Nebraska Medical Center. You were studying there, and then UNMC. Uh, how did you come to be, come into this particular field of research? Because cancer research in itself, as you explain, and obviously as many people already know, it's a very complicated and it's a very laborious thing, as any research is. But what made you come into this particular field of study?
Yeah, like from the very beginning, like I wanted to do research in a translational field. Okay, so when I applied over in US universities, I mostly tried to apply for like programs which are very translational. I applied in basic biological programs also, like biochemistry and stuff like that. But once I think like UNMC was one of the universities where I got through a completely translatable program. So my PhD was in like a Department of Cancer Research. So I like the program because it was, it's not just understanding the basic processes. You can make a difference with your research, or try to at least make a difference in human lives. So that's why I moved to this field. So it's been a long journey, but I think like hopefully it will be fruitful one day.
Wow. I mean, honestly, what you're doing right now, and obviously everyone who is working in this particular field, they are doing a huge work, probably, not today, but tomorrow, or, there is this possibility of having a better health and better community. And, if maybe eradication would be a big word to say, but at least if it is reduced to a significant amount, that still would be saving a lot of lives, which makes your work not only very noble, but an amazing cause. That is where I think your work is also related with the sustainability of human health and sustainability of nature, because society, nature, and economy, they are the pillars of sustainability. And your work is with the part where which creates basically a balance between human life and the economy, where lesser spending on cancer, probably lesser expenditure on healthcare, which means more money for the economy, more money for the research and ancillary activities.
And
So that
overall, I think like where my contribution is, I think like a lot of people along with me, I am just like a part of the system. I think betterment of human lives, better quality of human lives. That's something like I think it's very much necessary for cancer patients. Like we are probably scratching the surface of this thing, and I think in coming 50 years we will see a lot of medicine come up, a lot of combination therapies. But ultimately, our goal is to increase the quality of human life, right? I mean, we have come a long way from last 40 years when like which were like at the beginning was infancy of cancer research. The cancer disease itself has also evolved, right? Within the last 40 years, like our lifestyles have changed, our diets have changed, like our lifespan has changed, right? So cancer, basically people say, although there's like childhood cancers and stuff, it's like an old age disease. So as the life expectancy has increased, so has the rates of cancer has also increased, right? So you have to like, so this is where we feel it's important that you are improving the quality of human life at the later age, like those who have cancer. If you can make a little contribution also, I think it will go a far, like long way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. And I completely wish that your research goes at an amazing pace, and you are, you get what you are researching for. The end result, and the goal, basically, the light at the end of the tunnel. You achieve that, and I wish you and your team all the best on that endeavor.
Thank you.
It's an important work. Uh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, but again, I think there's also limitations of time on this
Mhm.
session. So we might have to cut down on that conversation. But the last thing that I would like to say, like, what if there's something that you would want to say to our audiences uh, about anything that something that you might want to recommend, or something you might want to say, what would that be?
I think like one thing I really want to say is like leading a healthy lifestyle is really important. I mean, this will probably less stress, uh, like a good diet, good lifestyle, a lot of sleep, eating healthy foods, and screening. I cannot stress more. More screening, more screening. You can cut down a lot of cancers by screening. So if you can start screening at an like early age, or not very early, probably if you like are in the late 30s to early 40s, if you can start a screening, I think probably a lot of cancers can be detected early. Screening, screening, and screening. People, I think like people must be aware of these things, but it's also very important to make them aware. Like more you screen, more like this kind of comorbidities will come up, and like more you will have a better chance of having like a better life. So screening, screening, screening. Like go to your doctor, screen, and you will find out like you're okay.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity and having this amazing discussion. I am sure that a lot of people got to learn from this discussion today, and a lot of takeaways for a lot of people. So once again, thank you so much, Binita,
Thank you
and
so much,
wish you have
Amit. It
a
was
great day
fun
ahead.
talking to you, fun talking about
Great.
my research. I think like I can make a little difference in the coming, like, I don't know how long I will be in this field, but once like whenever like I can make a little difference in patients' lives. Yeah, that's
I'm
something.
sure your field is already doing that, and you would make more changes and more improvement in human life and everyone's life. I wish you all the best for that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.